Hey guys, in this video we will be creating this toggle navigation using HTML and CSS, and I will also be linking to the code on CodePen for this if you want to check that out, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. So getting started here, we are going to be adding a nav for the navbar, and we'll give this a class of navbar. And inside of here, we're going to have a logo. Give it a class of brand. And we're just going to be really creative and call that logo. Next, we are going to add a, so we're going to be using a checkbox to achieve the functionality for the toggling of the nav on and off. So we're just going to add a input type checkbox with an ID of nav toggle checkbox. And for the button that's going to toggle on and off the navigation, we're going to use a label. And we're going to set that for nav toggle checkbox. And we will give this a class of just nav toggle. For the menu icon, we are going to use spans for each one of the bars. So we're going to have like that hamburger, like 3-bar nav, and we're actually going to animate it. So we want each one of those to be their own separate element on the page. And so we can just use spans to achieve that. And we will go into that more in depth here in a bit. And that's all we're really going to need for now. We will create the menu in a bit, but let's go ahead and at least style out the nav bar and get the nav toggle button working. So anyways, over in the styles, I have a little reset here at the top, have some font on the body, and I'm just getting rid of the underlining of the links here. So let's go ahead and start. We'll just say nav bar. We're going to say display flex, align items center. We're going to want to justify content with space between, because we're only going to have a logo and a button. So if we do space between, it'll put them both on each of the ends. So we'll do that. Let's go ahead and give it a height. We're going to give it a height of 5 rem. And we're going to give it a background color. Now I have a background color already selected over here somewhere, so let me go ahead and find that. Where did I put it? Oh, here we go. We'll just go ahead and do that. And let's go and save and refresh. Cool. We're going to want to give it some padding as well. So let's go ahead and say padding. Let's actually put this here. Padding 0, and let's just go with like 2 rems. And let's move on to the brand. Brand, I'm just going to give it increase the font size. Give it a white color. And let's just say text transform uppercase. Wow, that's pretty impressive, huh? All right, cool. Let's move on to let's go ahead and style that checkbox. Oh, we're not going to style it. We're just going to say display none. We just need the toggle behavior of that, but we don't need the actual checkbox. So we're just going to set that to display none. But we will style out the nav toggle right now too. Let's give it some space. So, first things first, let's go ahead and hit a refresh. And let's go ahead and inspect. And let's set the inspector to the bottom here. And let's go and toggle that off. And bring this up, bring this down, open this up. And you guys can see that? Okay, yep, you guys can see that. So we have this label, so let's go ahead and start styling that out. So I know I'm going to be making those bars inside of the navigation. They're going to be positioned absolute for me to position them and to animate them with the transition later. So we're going to set this to position relative. We're going to give it a width of 2.5 rem and a height of 2 rem. And yeah, let's just start with that. Let's go and say the nav toggle span. So these nav toggle spans, we're going to want them to be centered, but we don't want them to take up all the space that we have. So we're going to have to use a little bit of calculations to keep them from hitting the ends, but we want the nav toggle to be bigger than the actual icon inside of there, just so it has more room to be easier to be clicked. There we go. I don't think that was English, but so let's set them to possession absolute. And we're going to say top 0.5 rem. We want about a 0.5 rem all the way around in space. We'll say left 0.5 rem, right 0.5 rem, height 2 pixels, background white. Cool, let's give that a look. So if we go into here, all these spans are going to be stacking on top of each other, so we can actually target the second one, and we're going to use nth of type to select it, and we'll just say this one's going to be top 50%, or this one's actually going to be top, let's use rem, but we'll calculate it, 1 rem, but we're going to say -1 pixel, and that will put this one, the second one, centered. And the third one's going to be handled in a pretty similar manner, except for this one's going to be 1.5 rem, so the height on here is 2 rem. So 1.5 rem is going to keep it 0.5 rem from the bottom, and we're going to subtract 2 pixels. Let's hit a refresh over there. Let me go and zoom in a little bit here too, and maybe somewhere around there, maybe increasing it, you guys might be able to see it a little bit better. And up here on this nav toggle, let's go and set a cursor of pointer. Cool. So that's looking pretty good. We got a little button there. So what do we want to handle next? Let's go ahead and have this nav toggle turn into an X. We'll start with the animation on this nav toggle button. And yeah, let's do that. So the way we'll do that, we'll come down here. We'll just say nav toggle checked. Nav toggle checked. And we will select the nav toggle. Actually, my bad. We're going to be using this sibling selector to do this. Anyways, nav toggle checkbox, check. We're going to want, when it's checked, we're going to want to transition these spans. So let's go ahead and select the first one. We'll say nth, or the second one, nth of type. So we want that middle one. And the way that we're going to transition this is we're just going to say on this one, we're just going to say left 100%. So we're just going to push that one out of the way. And right now I don't have any transition on it, but to ensure that it's gone. All right, good. So we can go ahead and just, here on the span, let's go ahead and add transition. And we'll go ahead and say left 0.2 seconds. Cool, so now it is animating. So next we're going to want to select the first one and the second one, actually, yeah, or the third one, I mean. We can go and select both these, I believe, and we'll just say top, calc, 50%, and -1 pixel. So we're doing the same thing we did up here. Oh no, wait, not 50%. Let's just go 1 rem. Let's just stick with rems. It makes it a little easier since we know the height and the width of our button area. We can just stick with the rems. So we doing the same thing we did here, and we're just gonna move the top and the bottom bar to the middle. And let's go ahead and add the transition for that as well before we refresh it in the monitor. So on this one, we are gonna add an ease. We're gonna ease in. And then this one we're going to say top, 0.2 seconds, ease, and we're going to delay this one 0.2 seconds so that the left, animation or transition finishes before we slide the top and the bottom bar together. And that did not work. Top, 0.2 seconds, ease, 0.2 seconds. And I selected toggle span first and the third, and we want, oh, why did I do this? What am I doing? Sorry, my brain is not working that great right now. Ah, there we go. Okay, now it's working. So that middle one slides out and then these two come together. Cool, so the next move is we're gonna select these individually now. And we will say the first one, we're gonna transform. This is gonna get rotate at 45 degrees. And the the third bar is gonna be pretty much the same, except for we're gonna go minus 45 degrees. And up here in our transitions, we are going to say transform 0.2 seconds, ease out, and we'll go 0.4 seconds so that this one occurs, this transitioning of the middle bar to the left where it shrinks. These top and bottom bars come together and then they're going to form an X, and they're all they all occur after the other one finishes. So let's give that a look. Cool. But coming out like this when we want to transition out of the active nav menu, that does not look good. So let's go ahead and tackle that. So the way that transitions work, we're going to want to actually add this transition here to the span. So we're basically going to want to add this to the spans only when they have the checked property on the checkbox, and that is because these are only going to occur for the transition in, and if we want to change the transition out, we need to add it to the original span element. So let's do that. We're pretty much going to reverse everything we've done here. So the first one we're going to want here is a transform, and we're going to want to ease in at no delay. And the middle one's going to stay the same, and this last one is just going to be left like that. So that should, we just pretty much switched this transform and this left, and I did it kind of the hard way, but that's all we did, and that should animate out correctly. Perfect. Next, let's do the nav menu. So we don't have the nav menu over here yet, so let's go ahead and create the nav menu. We'll just go ahead and say div class equal to nav menu. And we're just going to add an unordered list in here for the list, and we'll just say li ahref. And we'll just give these some generic links here. We're just going to give them, 4 here. We'll just say like services and contact. Great, so that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. I think everything we need is there. Let's go ahead and start styling that out. So down here at the bottom, we'll say nav menu. So the nav menu is going to be positioned fixed, and we'll just say top 0, bottom 0, left 0, and right 0. And we're going to give this a background of a color like earlier. I have pulled off screen right here. So that should give us a menu. There we go. Cool. Let's get this out of the way so we can see everything going on here. One other thing we're going to do, we'll say display flex. We'll use flex just because it has the center line and we can justify content center. And we'll center out the unordered list inside of there. Cool. And that'll pretty much be that one for now. And let's do one more thing before we move on. We're just going to, down here at the bottom, we'll just say z index of 8. And up here on this label, on the nav toggle right here, we're going to set the z index on the nav toggle to 9 so that when the nav toggle is turned into an X, it's still available for us to click it to close this nav menu that we're going to have open. So that'll be that, and let's go ahead and go nav menu UL. We're going to say list style none, and let's just say text line center, and we'll go nav menu list item, and let's just give that a margin bottom 1 rem, And we don't want that to, oops, we don't want that to be on the last one there. So let's go ahead and say last of type, margin bottom 0. Yeah. So yeah, that should work. Cool. So if we refresh that, they're all centered. So let's go ahead and style out the links. Nav menu A. Say color white. Let's also make them bigger. We'll say font size. Font size 1.5 rem. And let's go ahead and give these like a padding 0.5 rem so that there's, all right, let's go ahead and bump it up. Let's go like 1 rem. Let's see how that looks. Give us some good space to click on these. And that's not occurring how we want it because these are inline elements. So let's put them to display inline block. And that should give us some more space over here on these links. Cool. So I think that's how we want the links to look. I'm not going to add any sort of hovers on them. So first, let's work on fading in this menu when we need it. So the way we're going to do that is we're just going to set opacity to 0 and pointer events to none. And we will come up to here, just like we were doing here with this nav toggle checked. We can just copy this, throw this down here, just say nav menu list. Let's give this some separation there. And so we can just say nav menu. And we will set the opacity to 1 and pointer events to initial. And we'll add the transition here. Just like earlier, we want to transition in, but we don't want, here we're not going to have a transition on the or on this nav menu here because we don't want to transition out. We're going to just transition in only. And transition opacity, well actually we'll just say, yeah, all 0.3 seconds. Yeah, let's just do 0.3 seconds and let's give it a look. Cool, so that's fading in. Last thing I want to do is just fade in these links down here. So let's go ahead and target those. So each one of these links, we'll just say nav menu links and get those out of the way. We'll use the list items here. So we'll say nav menu li, well actually we're going to want to, yeah, let's go ahead and these ones, we're going to set the opacity on these to 0 just like we did above, and we'll go ahead and say pointer events to none like before as well. Yeah, and we'll also say let's set these to position because we want them to fade up and in, so we're going to set them to a position relative. And then we're going to start from a top position of 2 rems, and then we're going to fade those up to a top position of 0. So just like we did here to select this, we can just copy, paste that. So we have this nav toggle checkbox checked, nav toggle menu. We could say li, and yeah, let's just say li, and we'll just say top 0. We'll say opacity 1 and pointer events initial. And you know, I was just thinking up here, we just targeted all, but I don't need to even target the pointer events. Don't want to transition that. We only want to target the opacity. That's just kind of a side thing. I was just bugging me now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, let's just target that opacity there. And then down here, we're going to just target the opacity as well on a transition in. So, oh yeah, so let's go ahead and see that. And same thing as before, we're just going to add the transition here because we only want it to transition in. And then when we close the menu, it's just going to go away instantly. It's not going to have any sort of out transitions or anything. So we'll just go transition opacity. Or let's just say, here we can just say all actually, 0.2 seconds. We'll just let these transition for 0.2 seconds. And there we go. And let's go ahead and say ease, just a regular ease, and we'll add a 0.3 second delay so that we can let the background fade in right here since this is a 0.3 transition. So we'll let the background fade in, and then we'll fade in these links. There we go. But I want to fade these in one at a time, so let's go ahead and do that. The way that we're going to do that is we can just go ahead and leave this here, and the default is ease, so we can just leave that there. And let's go ahead and target each one of these individually, the nth of type here. So let's go ahead and select, we have the first one, let's say transition delay, 0.3 seconds. Second one, we want to wait 0.3 plus 0.2, so that's going to be a 0.5 second delay. The third one, we're going to want a 0.7, and the fourth one is going to be a 0.9 second delay. And so that's about a second for the whole transition to occur, but let's give it a look. Nice. So they all fade in one at a time. And you could play with the easing or anything else, but other than that, I think we are all done here. Thanks for watching this video. I will be putting a link in the description to this code on CodePen if you guys want to check that out. Please like and subscribe. I will definitely be making a lot more videos moving forward. So yeah, hope you guys have a great day. Thanks.